यो गणेश पूजा भइरहेछ अनि गणेश पूजा समारोह नेवा समुदायको सबैभन्दा वरिष्ठ व्यक्तित्व संघरत्न ज्यू चाहिँ आजभन्दा करिब 50 वर्ष पहिला अमेरिका आउनुभएका वरिष्ठ व्यक्तित्व संघरत्न ज्यूबाट यहाँ गणेश पूजा भइरहेछ। त्यसै गरी संघरत्न के दाइ नाम उहाँको संघरत्न कसको
मदन ताम्राकार
मदन ताम्राकार
थकाली
मदन ताम्राकार नेवा समुदायको चाहिँ थकाली हुनुहुन्छ। संघरत्न होइन मदन ताम्राकार अर्का वरिष्ठ यहाँ चाहिँ राममालाकार हुनुहुन्छ। राममालाकार भनेको पनि आजभन्दा 50 वर्ष पहिला अमेरिका आउनुभएका राममालाकार दाइ अमेरिका आउँदाखेरि वासिङटन डिसी भर्जिनिया मेरिल्यान्डमा नेपालीको सङ्ख्या एउटा हातमा गर्न पुग्थ्यो रे। त्यति पुरानो मान्छे हुनुहुन्छ उहाँ, वरिष्ठ मान्छे राममालाकार र मदन ताम्राकार। उहाँहरू दुईजना भनेको यो एरियाको भर्जिनिया मेरिल्यान्ड वासिङटन डिसीको सबैभन्दा पुराना होइन, अब 50-55 वर्ष अगाडि अमेरिका आएका मान्छे हुनुहुन्छ। यो चाहिँ यहाँ अलिक गणेश पूजामा जस्तो यहाँ लाइन छ। ओहो नेत्रजी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
यहाँ हाम्रो नेत्र घिसिङज्यू हुनुहुन्छ। अनि के अरे
अहिले आउनुहुन्छ? फेरि पनि बिहा गर्नु भएको छ उहाँले गाउँमा।
पुरानो मान्छे हाम्रो चाहिँ
त्यसो बिचरा कोही मद्दत चाहियो।
वरिष्ठ चलचित्र नायक सरोज खनाल,
$25 को ले
कृष्ण प्रजापति, विजय भाउजू,
धन्यवाद
डाक्टर महेश्वर वैद्य, मेरिल्यान्डको पहिलो तथा एकमात्र नेपाली डाक्टर हुनुहुन्छ। यो चाहिँ गणेश पूजा गरेर बल्ल अरू गर्ने रे। हजुर सुनाम के पर्यो हजुर? हजुर
विद्या भण्डारी।
नमस्कार है।
हजुर नमस्कार।
नमस्कार। हाम्रो यहाँ छोरीको नाम के रे हजुर?
मेरो नाम सुषमा।
सुषमा के?
सुषमा भण्डारी ढकाल।
ल भण्डारी पनि ढकाल पनि? भण्डारीबाट ढकाल भइसक्नु भयो। ल धन्यवाद, बधाई छ है। ओ कृष्ण नमस्कार। नमस्कार कृष्ण नेरौला। भर्खर मैले यहाँ राममालाकार र चाहिँ मदन ताम्राकार अमेरिका आएका सबभन्दा पुराना मान्छे भने अझ उहाँभन्दा पुरानो चाहिँ यहाँ कृष्ण नेरौला दाई हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरू भनेको चाहिँ वासिङटन डिसी भर्जिनिया मेरिल्यान्डमा उहाँहरू अमेरिका आउँदाखेरि नेपालीको सङ्ख्या एउटा हातको औँलामा गर्न पुग्थ्यो अरे। त्यति पुराना मान्छे चाहिँ हुनुहुन्छ। चाहिँ त्यसपछि गएर लगभग यसै गरी अमेरिकाको भर्जिनिया मेरिल्यान्ड वासिङटन डिसी राजधानी एरियामा आजभन्दा 50 वर्ष पहिला चाहिँ अमेरिका आउने अर्को यहाँ दाई हुनुहुन्छ अच्युत श्रेष्ठ। अब यहाँहरू नेपाली समुदायले चाहिँ होमना सुवेदी चाहिँ अमेरिका आएको पुरानो मान्छे भनेर विशेष गरी म्याग्दीवासीले त्यसो सोच्छ भने म्याग्दीवासीलाई होमना सुवेदीलाई पनि एयरपोर्ट लिन गएको मान्छे भनेपछि कति पुरानो मान्छे अच्युत श्रेष्ठ पुरानो नेपाली। उहाँ अमेरिका आउँदाखेरि अमेरिकाको राजधानी एरियामा नेपालीहरू औँलामा एउटा हातको औँलामा गर्न पुग्थ्यो अरे। त्यति पुरानो वरिष्ठ सिनियर व्यक्तित्व हुन्छ। अच्युत दाइ नमस्कार है। नमस्कार। अघि मैले भनिहालेँ सरोज खनालजी हुनुहुन्छ यहाँ चाहिँ वरिष्ठ चलचित्र नायक। अब तपाईँहरूले अनुहार देख्ने बित्तिकै सबैले चिन्नुहुन्छ। ओहो यहाँ हाम्रो चाहिँ लोकनाथ तिवारीज्यू चाहिँ अमेरिकाको NRNका वरिष्ठ उपाध्यक्ष। मैले सुनेको चाहिँ राष्ट्रपति बाराक ओबामासित अस्ति भर्खर उहाँले डिनर पनि खानुभयो अरे। बधाई छ है।
तृतीयं कृष्णपिण्डाक्षं गजवक्त्रं चतुर्माने त्रिसन्ध्यं या पठेन नरा न च विघ्ना भयमतस्य सर्वसिद्धिकरं प्रभु
ओ राम सर नमस्कार
नमस्ते
and 23rd anniversary of NPPA Americana. And with that, Happy Nhudaya Bhintuna to you all, and welcome to this unique celebration. My name is Manjima Maharjan, and I'm a senior psychology major at the University of Maryland. I was born in Nepal and raised in Rockville, Maryland, and I will be conducting this ceremony on behalf of NPPA today.
Hello, my name is Karisha Singh. I'm a freshman in University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I'm a biochemistry major. I was born in Nepal and was also raised in Rockville, Maryland. I will be co-conducting the ceremony with Manjima on behalf of NPPA. First of all, I would like to invite the president of NPPA Americana, Mr. Saros Prajapati, to the stage and take a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency, Charge d'Affaires, Mr. Rishiram Gimire, to the stage to please take a seat.
gentlemen, please welcome Honorary Consulate General of Maryland and Pennsylvania, Mr. Brain Raja Mahat, to the stage, and please take a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome keynote speaker from Nepal, Dr. Anuja Guruma, expert on religion and culture, to the stage, and please take a seat.
Now we would like to recognize the following representatives of various organizations. Please take your seat on the front row of the auditorium, and please hold your applaud until all the representatives are recognized.
Will someone please turn the light on? It's a little bit...
Okay, I would again like to recognize the following representatives of all the organizations, and again, please take a seat in the front row of the auditorium.
Mr. Ram Lal Shrestha, President, Newa Organization of America, NOA.
Mr. Kilindra Nupani, Chairman of Nepal Education and Culture Center, NECC.
Mr. Dibya Hada, President of Nepalese American Senior Community, NASC.
Mr. Ram Malakar, Founder and former President of NPPA.
Mr. Vijaya Shrestha, President of Baltimore Nepal Association, BANA.
Now I would like to recognize other executive members of NPPA. Mr. Raju Joshi, First Vice President.
Mr. Buddha Maharjan, Second Vice President.
Mr. Manohar Shrestha, General Secretary.
Mrs. Sarita Dongol, Treasurer.
Mr. Ramesh Sikar Bajajaya, Assistant of Police Commissioner of Nepal.
Mr. Ram Kharel, NRN Media Coordinator.
And Mr. Lok Tiwari, NRN U.S.A. Vice President. Next, I would like to recognize the executive members. Mrs. Santi Shrestha,
Ms. Sunita Amadia,
Mr. Praveen Tamrakar,
Mrs. Magan Shrestha,
and Mr. Sankar Ram Shrestha, Deputy Chief Advisor.
Now I would like to request representative of Nepal Embassy, Charge d'Affaires, Mr. Rishi Gimire, to inaugurate the ceremony by lighting on the traditional Newa oil lampstand known as the Tarewa.
Now I would like to call upon Sahara Joshi to sing the American National Anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed and
you, Praveen, Santi, and Mr. Sankar Ramsrestha and Sandhya Times for working so hard on this double magazine. Now this double magazine will be available to patrons, live members, ad sponsor, and anyone who wants to buy. Please contact Santi Srestha and Praveen Tamrakar. In the conclusion, I wanted to mention this again, that NPPA is a diverse organization that belongs to everyone. So please feel free to participate, volunteer, and give us the feedback. Anything you see that something is going wrong, let us know. We wanted to work together with everyone. We welcome your thoughts and advice all the time. Please feel free. I humbly salute you for your selfless dedication to our each program. Subhar, Dhanyabad, and thank you. Jai Nepal, Jai Mama.
Thank you, Sahara, for singing with such a beautiful voice.
Likewise, Kriti and Sahara Shrestha will be singing the Nepalese national anthem.
Sayotunga fulka हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सर्वभूमलाई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली सायोtunga fulka हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सर्वभूमलाई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली प्रकृतिको कोटि कोटि सम्पदाको अचला वीरहरूको रगतलाई सत्वतले अचला ज्ञान भूमि शान्ति भूमि तर पहाड हिमाल आक्रान्त प्यारो हाम्रो मातृभूमि नेपाल बाबु जसी वर्ष धर्म संस्कृतिको विशाल आगामी राष्ट्र हाम्रो जय जय नेपाल.
Thank you, Kriti and Sahara. You have beautiful voice.
I would like to call upon the NPPA President, Mrs. Saroj Prajapati, to deliver her warm welcome speech.
Thank you, Manjima and Kerisa. His Excellency from Nepal Embassy Charge Affair, Mr. Rishiram Ghimire, Consulate General Mr. Prem Raja Mahak, Keynote Speaker Dr. Anuja Gurma, past presidents, patrons and live members, community leaders, media representatives, and ladies and gentlemen. Jojolappa, Namaste, and welcome. Nhudaya Bhintuna, Naya Varsako Shubhakamana, Happy New Year. To make it a little bit easier and to understand everyone, I would like to speak a little in Newari and Nepali and also in English. Hane bapi daju kija tata ke sakna sita thana thau Nepal sambat 1135 ya pasapucha America yago nin soda buriya pulache jaya dia thau yago कार्यक्रम याटा यको यको झझ ढाको या स्वागत दो ज्यायाको यको दु तर समय यको मरो तर छिपिनी बाली व छिपिनी सहयोग ठाउँ यो सब कार्यक्रम सफल जिरहेको छ कि यको आशा हेर्छन् माननीय विशिष्ट पाहुनाहरू दाजुभाइ तथा दिदीबहिनी अनि सज्जनवृन्दहरू आज यहाँहरू सबैलाई नेपाल सम्बत 1135 र नेपाल पासापुचा अमेरिकाको 23औं वार्षिक उत्सवको उपलक्ष्यमा आउनु भएर शोभा बढाइदिनु भएकोमा यहाँहरूलाई सबैलाई हार्दिक स्वागत छ। हाम्रो झोलामा कामहरू धेरै छ तर समय थोरै छ, तर हामीले सबैले मिलेर सबै सङ्घ संस्थाहरूले मिलेर काम गर्यो भनेदेखि त्यो काम सजिलैसँग सिद्धिन्छ। त्यसको लागि तपाईहरु यहाँको सहयोग पाउँछु भन्ने मलाई धेरै धेरै आशा छ। On behalf of Nepal Pasapucha Americae NPPA, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 23rd annual meeting of the NPPA and the 1135 Nepal Sambat Bhintuna celebration today. I would like to wish everyone a healthy, happy and prosperous New Year, Nhudaya Bhintuna. We have so many interesting programs stored for you. Knowledge sharing, experience by all the dignitaries, and our very special keynote speaker, fun-filled activities, ethnic foods, entertainment, and I'm sure you'll enjoy today's program. During my first speech last year, I wanted to make sure that I carried out 3 specific actions throughout my tenure. First one is to emphasize the involvement of our youth in promoting our culture. Therefore, in order to promote the first action, we have selected today's theme as Youth Empowerment in Preservation of Newa Culture. We believe that today's youth is the future of NPPA. If our past presidents had not shared their knowledge and experience with us from last 23 years, we would not be ready to take control of NPPA today. So we need to share our knowledge, our experience to the young generation. Please encourage your children to be involved with the promotion of our cultural heritage. It's a win-win situation for everyone, both parents and the children. We will have a youth forum right after this program that will show you some of the specific areas. Our second agenda was to join forces with other Nepalese organizations to do the best to the community. And we have been recognized for several projects. And recently we have created a partnership with Society of Nepali American Nurses and Nepal American Senior Society to create a special project, the Nepal Senior Culture Center. This center will provide the services to our growing seniors and their needs by working together with Senior Community Center in Maryland, DC, and Virginia counties. We are very happy to announce that our project has already been implemented in Arlington County, Virginia, and we'll be working with Montgomery County, Maryland officials really soon. Our next project, but not last project, is a special project to my heart. Nepal Scholarship Fund is already on the way to in the process. Nepal Pasapucha America has decided to initiate an effort to establish a revolving fund to grant scholarship to the underprivileged and deserving youth in Nepal who are unable to afford the cost of their education, books, material, meals, etc. Please help us to make this scholarship fund a successful one by donating at your convenience. Our EC members have already started donating so that it can be used anytime now. I'm so grateful to Mrs. Niva Pradhan and Mr. Rajesh Pradhan for agreeing to work with NPPA to help the youth in Nepal. Thank you, Praveen, Santi, and Mr. Sankar Ramsrestha and Sandhya Times for working so hard on this double magazine. Now, this double magazine will be available to patrons, live members, ad sponsor, and anyone who wants to buy. Please contact Santi Srestha and Praveen Tamrakar. In the conclusion, I wanted to mention this again, that NPPA is a diverse organization that belongs to everyone, so please feel free to participate, volunteer, and give us the feedback. Anything you see that something is going wrong, let us know. We wanted to work together with everyone. We welcome your thoughts and advice all the time. Please feel free. I humbly salute you for your selfless dedication to our each program. Subhar, Dhanyabad, and thank you. Jai Nepal, Jai Mama.
Zabudi, for your warm welcome speech and everything that you do for NPPA and for its future. Now I will call upon Charge d'Affaires, Mr. Rishiram Kimire, to shed light on this program.
Maryland and Pennsylvania. Distinguished guests, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to thank to NPPA America for inviting us to participate to celebrate this program. To the New Year 1135 and 23rd anniversary of NPPA. I would like to thank the organizing committee for convening this congregation in such a good manner, in such a good way. And I would like also to thank and appreciate the NPPA for organizing this program. And just our president informed us of the achievement made during the last year in different sectors. I'm very pleased to learn of that NPPA has done a lot of things, not only in U.S. but also in Nepal. So, I hope that your effort, your collective effort will come into a good result. And I wish you all a very, very happy New Year. And on this auspicious occasion, I wish you a good health, happiness, and prosperity in the days to come. At the end, I would like to just to bring your attention that I have seen two organizations with a similar objective, with similar goal. I should say that NEVA organization, which is very much similar to its purpose and objectives, and NPPA has also the same objectives. It will be my humble request that if you have the same objective, why you are working in a separate way? If you have the same objective, then I would like to request you that please work together. If you work together, it will save your time, resources, and as well as your energy also. And that would make you, say, a little bit, it would be very, very vibrant and more powerful organizations having the same objectives. But I don't know what would be the difference between you, but it will be my request that please convene together, sort out your differences, and try to make a single organization which will look after the whole community present in the United States. And that will also help promote and preserve your culture, your tradition, and your rich natural heritage. It would be my request. At the end, I would like to thank as well as wish again a very, very happy New Year 1135, and I wish the success of the NPPA's General Convention a grand success. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to call upon Honorary Consulate General of Nepal to Maryland and Pennsylvania, Mr. Prem Raza Mahat, for his few words.
धन्यवाद। इस कार्यक्रम NPPA का अध्यक्ष शरद प्रजापतिज्यू, आजका इस कार्यक्रम का प्रमुख अतिथि महामहिम कार्यवाहक राजदूत ऋषिराम घिमिरेज्यू, देश महासिन नेपालका भगवान बुद्धको कीर्तिलाई पालना संरक्षण गर्दै आउनुभएकी र नेपाल संरक्षण कीर्ति विहारकी प्रमुख डाक्टर अनौजा शारदाज्यू, यस कार्यक्रममा उपस्थित बाडाका अध्यक्ष लगायत विभिन्न सङ्घ संस्थाका अध्यक्षज्यू, उपाध्यक्षज्यू, सचिव महासचिवज्यूहरू र आज यस कार्यक्रमकै लागि एउटा उपस्थित हुनुभएको छ नेपालबाट नेपालकै सुरक्षा विभागका प्रमुख अब AIG साहब रमेश शेखर पदाचार्यज्यू पनि यहीँ हुनुहुन्छ। आज यस कार्यक्रममा शरदज्यूले निम्ता गरेर आउनुभएको छ र उहाँलाई पनि म स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। र नेपाली नायक वरिष्ठ नायक सरोज खनाल लगायत सम्पूर्ण यहाँ उपस्थित दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनी, पत्रकार दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरू, यस सधैँ नेपाल पाँच पुच्छाले सधैँ नेपालको संस्कृति बचाउने नेपालको कार्यक्रम गर्दै आइराखेको छ। हामी फेरि हुन नेपाल पाँच पुच्छ भए पनि सम्पूर्ण नेपालीलाई समान मानेर सबैलाई निम्ता गरेर सधैँ एउटै थलोमा समय बजी भया खुवाएर साथै नेपालको कल्चरलाई अगाडि बढाउने क्रममा अगाडि बढ्दै आएको यस पाँच पूजा कार्यक्रममा जहिले पनि आफूलाई सहभागी बन्ने मौका पाउँदा म ज्यादै खुसी पनि भइरहन्छु। र यसै क्रममा एउटा संजोगको कुरा हो, मलाई सबभन्दा पहिला भोज खुवाउने यही समय बजी भया खाएको थिएँ। हाम्रो यस कार्यक्रमकी आजकी अध्यक्ष शरद प्रजापति बहिनीज्यूले पहिलो पटक अमेरिका आउँदा उहाँले यो भोज खुवाएर हामीलाई नेपालको एउटा तृष्णा मेटाउनु भएको थियो र अहिले त्यही अनवरत रूपमा 17-18 वर्षसम्म उहाँहरूको यो कार्यक्रममा आइरहनु पाइएको छ र संजोगले आज उहाँ नै यसको सभापति हुनुहुन्छ, यस कार्यक्रमका यस संस्थाका सभापति हुनुहुन्छ। त्यसैले उहाँले बोलाउँदा अझै म साथीभाइ सहित यहाँ आएको छु, त्यसैले ज्यादै खुसी पनि लागिरहन्छ र यसरी नै NPPA को भविष्य अझ उज्जवल हुँदै अगाडि बढ्दै जाओस्, यसको पाइला कहिले पछि हट्नु।
Thank you, Mr. Mahat, for your speech. As you all are aware, this year's theme is youth empowerment in preservation of Newar culture. Our youth team will provide a brief biography on each of these 6 pillars of Newar language and cultures. They are also referred to as the founding fathers of Newar language, literature, and culture. These 6 pillars are not in any particular order. Mr. Nistanda Bajracharya, Mr. Siddhidas Mahazu, Mr.
Words about Nistanda Bajracharya. Nistanda Bajracharya was an author who marked a turning point in Nepal Bhasa literature by breaking away from the classical style and writing prose in colloquial language. He was one of the leaders of the Nepal Bhasa Renaissance and also a pioneer of printing with movable type in Nepal. He was born in 1858 in Ombahal, Kathmandu. In 1901, after completing Buddhist studies, Bajracharya began giving religious discourses. His storytelling sessions were held in sacred courtyards and other open spaces and lasted 4 months. Bajracharya had a clear style of narrating stories, which made him greatly popular. He adapted the ancient texts into easy-to-understand everyday language, as the old writing style had become complex to listeners. The written and spoken forms of Nepal Bhasa had begun to grow apart as its development came to an end around 1850 with the advent of the Rana dynasty. The Ranas did not like Nepal Bhasa and suppressed its use. By the time literary activities were revived during the Nepal Bhasa Renaissance, the old style of writing had become difficult to follow. Bhattacharya modernized the language by discarding the traditional spelling rules and writing it as it was spoken. He also brought a new style into prose, writing by simplifying sentence construction. In 1909, Bhattacharya published Ek Bisanti Rasna Paramita, the first book in Nepal Bhasa to be printed with movable type. Lalita Vistara, his most famous work, which is based on the Buddha's life story, and Swayambhu Purana, which was published in 1914. Bhattacharya traveled to Kolkata, India, to procure letterpress type as printing facilities were not available in Kathmandu. He did the typesetting and printing himself. He died in 1935 at the age of 76. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Now, please, Mr. Ram Malakar, can you please present the garland? Thank you. Next, I would like to call Manshu Shrestha to the stage.
And I'm going to be talking about Siddhidas Mahaju. Siddhidas Mahaju was a poet. He was at the forefront in the endeavor to revive literature in Nepal Bhasa that had become stagnant as a result of official suppression. He has been honored with the title Great Poet. Mahaju was born in 1867 in Keltol, Kathmandu. Mahaju looked after his family's cloth shop as a young man after a stint in government service in 1886. He had to travel frequently to Kolkata, India to purchase stock, and he took advantage of this opportunity to browse libraries and bookstores. In Kathmandu, he spent more time composing poetry than looking after business, and his cloth shop suffered. Finding it difficult to make ends meet, he went to Birganj to work for a trader as a freight forwarder. Mahaju returned to Kathmandu after a few years when business dried up. His economic condition worsened, and in 1927, he got a job as an assistant at a medicine shop. Mahaju wrote more than 44 books of poetry, epics, short stories, and essays. Sajan Hidrabaran, a book of poems and morals, was the only one published during his lifetime. It was published from Britiya, India, in 1920. Mahaju composed Siddhi Ramayana, a translation of the epic Ramayana in Nepal Bhasa in 1913. Considered to be his best work, Sati Sati, written in 1913, was an epic on female education. Another notable work includes Siddhi Vakkaran, a grammar on Nepal Bhasa, written in 1927. Siddhidas Mahaju died in 1929, but his legacy lived on. In 1980, the Postal Service Department of the Government of Nepal issued a commemorative postage stamp of Mahaju, and a street in central Kathmandu was named.
Thank you. Next, I would like to call Desha Tamrakar to the stage.
I will be talking about Jagat Sundar Malla. Jagat Sundar Malla was a Nepal Bhasa teacher and writer who dedicated his life to the education of the common people. He was born in 1882 in Kama, Bhaktapur, Nepal. Malla opened a school in his home defying government repression as the Rana regime disapproved of any move to spread modern education. He established a school in Kama, Bhaktapur in 1913 where he taught English in Nepal Bhasa. He stressed the importance of learning English, and he wrote and published textbooks in Nepal Bhasa as he believed that children learn faster if they are taught in their mother tongue. Vesa Stable in Nepal Bhasa by Jagat Sundar Malla, first published in 1915. In the midst of World War I, Malla was arrested upon his arrival by the British Indian government on the suspicion of being a spy. He was imprisoned in Darbhanga for 1.5 years and freed as the Nepal government confirmed that he was a Nepalese citizen. Malla returned to Nepal in 1917 and was grounded by the government for having left the country without an official permit. Despite the mental stress, Malla kept teaching and writing textbooks. He died in 1952. Thank you.
Thank you, Desha. Now, Mr. Bhagatlal Shrestha, please come to the stage.
Bhintuna to you all. My name is Anak Shrestha. I'm a senior in George Mason University, majoring in Applied Information Technology. I'm going to talk about Yogbir Singh Gosai. Yogbir Singh Kasa was a poet and a social reformer. He worked to develop his mother tongue and promote Buddhism in face of repression by the Rana rulers. Kasa was a guru and inspiration of Nhudaya Hridaya, one of the greatest literary figures of 20th century Nepal. Kasa was born in 1885 at Kyelto, Hwache Nani, Kathmandu. As a young man in 1905, Kasa got involved in the social reformist activity of an organization known as Arya Samaj. He was fined and jailed by the Ranas for promoting an unorthodox religion. Out of prison, a dejected Kasa went to Kolkata, India, where he was inspired by the activity of Bengali language publication and love of literature among Bengalis. Returning to Kathmandu, Kasa took to writing poetry at his cloth shop by turning into a gathering place for poets. Each week, they would bring a copybook filled with their compositions and discuss each other's work. When the Badak Guruji, the chief royal priest, came to know about it, he had all of the copybooks confiscated. Inspired by Tulsi Meher's homespun movement, Kasa campaigned to popularize homespun and encourage people to install land looms in their homes. In 1927, he established a company called Vastrkala Bhavan to produce textiles. Kasa was an advocate of female education, and he sent his daughter Vidya Bati Kasa to India among the first batch of students to receive nurse training. In 1929, Kasa headed a committee which petitioned the Prime Minister to be allowed to open a library. Kasa and the rest of the signers of the appeal were arrested and fined. In 1934, all the Newa authors were summoned before the Prime Minister and warned to stop writing in Nepal Bhasa. Kasa also worked to promote Theravada Buddhism, which aroused the anger of the government. In 1931, he was fined and jailed with 11 other people, including Buddhist teacher Tamalog Mahasavir, poet Nhudaya Hridaya, and trader Dharmaman Tuladhar for trying to spread an unorthodox religion. He was also harassed and flogged for his activities. An anthology of Kasa's poets entitled Yog Sudha was published by Nepal Bhasa Parisad in 1951. A street in central Kathmandu was named Yogbir Singh Marg in his honor by Kathmandu Metropolitan City. He died in 1942.
Thank you, Anand. Now I would like to call Mr. Divya Hada to put the next garland. To the stage.
Virginia Tech, and I'll be talking about Dharmaditya Dharmatarya. He was born Jagatman Vaidya. He was an author, Buddhist scholar, and a language activist. He worked to develop the Nepal Bhasa and revive Buddhism when Nepal was ruled by the Rana dynasty, and both were considered dangerous activities and consequently jailed. Dharmatarya campaigned for the Nepal era as the national calendar. He wrote and published the first ever magazine in Nepal Bhasa and was a major influence in the Nepal Bhasa Renaissance. Because of his service to the language, he has been called the fifth pillar of Nepal Bhasa, along with the four pillars of Nepal Bhasa that we have already covered. Dharmatarya was born in 1902 from Chikanbai, Ladipur, and he studied at Durbar High School in Kathmandu and did his matriculation from Kolkata and enrolled at the University of Calcutta for higher studies. On his visits to Kathmandu during the holidays, he organized Buddhist programs and exhibitions of religious practices that he had collected in Kolkata. In 1924, he established the Buddha Dharma Support Association at the home of Dharmaman Tuladhar. He encouraged his members to read Buddhist books and translated articles in English and Pali into Nepal Bhasa. Upon his return to Kolkata, he established the Nepalese Buddhist Association to help Nepalese traders who had fallen into difficulty besides teaching those Buddhist principles. In 1928, he helped organize the All India Buddhist Conference. In an effort to promote Buddhism among the Nepalese in Darjeeling, he brought out Himalaya Baruda in the Nepali language and Buddhist India in English in 1927, which he and B.M. Barua edited. Dharmacharya was a cultural nationalist and dedicated himself to promoting Nepal Bhasa and obtaining international recognition for it. In 1925, he published Buddha Dharma wa Nepal Bhasa from Calcutta, India. It was the first ever magazine to be published completely in Nepal Bhasa. It contained articles on Buddhism and also provided writers in Nepal a place to publish their compositions, which they couldn't do at home because of their government's dislike of the language. In order to support the emerging Nepal Bhasa movement in Nepal and promote the language at home and stay abroad, he established the first ever Nepal Bhasa literary organization called
To present the next garland. And finally, we have Sahara Joshi. Please come to the stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Sahara Joshi. I'm currently a sophomore at Towson University studying astrophysics, and I'll be talking about Shukar Raj Shastri. Shukar Raj Shastri, born Shukar Raj Joshi, was a Nepali intellectual and fighter for democracy who was executed by the autocratic Rana dynasty. He is one of the 4 martyrs of the Nepalese revolution that toppled the Rana regime. The other 3 are Dashrath Chand, Dharma Bhakta Mathima, and Gangalal Shrestha. Shrestha was also a social reformer and an author who wrote a number of books in Nepali and Nepal Bhasa. Shrestha was born in 1894 in Varanasi, India, where his father, Madhav Raj, and mother Ratna Maya Joshi were living in forced exile due to political reasons. Madhav Raj was a leader of the Arya Samaj in Nepal. The Joshis were originally from Lalitpur. Shukar Raj was schooled in India, and he acquired the title Shrestha after earning a Shrestha degree from Dehradun. He became better known by this name than his actual surname Joshi. Returning to Nepal, Shrestha joined the democracy struggle. During a demonstration organized at Indra Chowk, Kathmandu by the Citizens' Right Committee, he spoke out strongly against the Rana regime and demanded the people's rights. For this act, he was arrested and sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. He was subsequently sentenced to death, and on January 24, 1941, he was hanged from a tree on the side of the road at Pachali Tegur, Kathmandu. Shrestha was one of the leaders of the Nepal Bhasa Renaissance. He wrote a grammar of the language entitled Nepal Bhasa Vyakran, which was published from Kolkata in 1928. He was the first to produce children's literature. His other works include Nepal Bhasa Reader, Books 1 and 2, 1933, and Nepali Varnamala, 1933. It is believed that Shrestha was executed for more for his work in social...
To ask Pandit Siddhar Gawali of Paspati Buddha Mandir to come and say a few words.
सम्माननीय कार्यवाहक राजदूत, वाणिज्य महादूत प्रेमलागा महाज्यू, नेपाल भाषा पुस्तकका अध्यक्षजी, उपस्थित दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरू, आजको यस शुभ घडीमा नेपाल सम्वत 1135 को हार्दिक मङ्गलमय शुभकामना टक्राउन चाहन्छु। हामी नेपालीहरूको आफ्नै सम्वत नेपाल सम्बत हो। हाम्रो हिन्दू परम्परामा पूर्वीय गणनाहरूमा सम्बतहरू जो निर्माण गणना गरिन्छ, सौर गणना सूर्यको आधारमा र चन्द्रमाको आधारमा। नेपाल सम्बत चन्द्रमाको आधारमा गणना गरिने सम्बत हो र चन्द्रमाको राशि परिवर्तन या ऋतु परिवर्तन मुख्य गरेर हाम्रो ज्योतिषको भाषामा कार्तिकको महिना विशेष महत्त्व हुन्छ। यदि सौर गणनाहरू सुरु हुन्छन् त चैत्र वैशाखको रूपमा भनी चन्द्र गणनाका जति पनि वर्षहरू सुरु हुन्छन् ती सबै कार्तिकको महिनामा कार्तिक शुक्ल प्रतिपदादेखि र नेपाल सम्बन्धी सुरु भएको छ। म हजुरहरू सबैलाई शुभकामना दिँदै हाम्रो नेपाल एजुकेसनल एन्ड कल्चरल सेन्टर पशुपति बुद्ध मन्दिर को एउटा नारा छ, एक दिन एक घर एकै डलर मन्दिर बनाउने चल्यो लहर। हाम्रो आफ्नो एउटा ठाउँ भए, हाम्रो एउटा आफ्नो स्थान भए, यी सबै कार्यक्रमहरू हाम्रा सबै कार्यक्रमको सञ्चालन त्यसै ठाउँबाट हुन सक्थ्यो। त्यसको लागि हामीलाई जरुरी छ एउटा सांस्कृतिक केन्द्रको, एउटा मन्दिरको। मन्दिर आज मात्रै होइन, हाम्रो परम्परामा पहिलेदेखि नै मन्दिरहरू, आश्रमहरू हाम्रो संस्कृतिका वाहक हुन्, हाम्रो संस्कृतिका अनुसन्धानका केन्द्र हुन्। हाम्रो आफ्नो परम्परा र शिक्षालाई जोगाउने, बढाउने र आगामी जेनेरेसनलाई, आउनेवाला पिँढीलाई दिने ठाउँ हुन् र त्यो परम्परालाई अक्षुण्ण राख्दै हामी नेपालीहरू जो यस अमेरिकामा स्थित छौँ, अमेरिकामा बसेका छौँ। अमेरिका यस्तो देश हो जहाँ पुस्तौँ बित्दा पनि अझै पनि हामी अफ्रिकन अमेरिकन या युरोपियन अमेरिकन या चाइनिज सबै नामबाट चिनिन्छौँ। भोलि हाम्रा पिँढीहरू पनि, हाम्रा उहरू पनि, आउनेवाला तिनीहरू पनि नेपाली अमेरिकन हुन्छन् भनेपछि त्यसकारणले हाम्रो आफ्नो पहिचान, आफ्नो स्थान र आफ्नो अस्तित्वको संरक्षणको लागि जब हामी त्यस यो सागर अमेरिका यस्तो संस्कृति हो, बहुसंस्कृतिय को देश हो, परन्तु जब बहुसंस्कृतिमा आफ्नो संस्कृतिको आवश्यकता हुन्छ। आज हामी नेपालमा पनि संविधान निर्माणको अवस्थाबाट गुज्रिरहेका छौँ जहाँ
Next we have keynote speaker Honorable Dr. Anuja Gurma, who came all the way from Nepal. She is founder of Sulatan Kriti Vihar, Tovar, Kathmandu. She has
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sabitiyo vivajantu sabba roga vinasantu. Mate bhavantu taraya sukhi digayuko bha. Sabanda पहिला यो सभाका सभाध्यक्षज्यू, मुख्य अतिथि राजुजी श्रीराम घिमिरेज्यू अनि पासा कुच नेपाल पासा कुचको अर्डर थिए ज्यू शोभा प्रजापतिज्यू अनि यहाँ सबै दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरू तपाईँहरू सबैलाई हार्दिक मङ्गलमय शुभकामना गर्दछु। ह्याप्पी न्यू इयर। 1135औं नेपाल सम्बन्धको उपलक्ष्यमा शुभकामना दिन चाहन्छु। म अत्यन्त खुसी भइराखेको छु। म त नेवारीबाट नै केही भनौँ भनेर आएको, तर यहाँ चाहिँ धेरै जसो भनौँ या 10-15-20 जना नेपालीहरू पनि छन्। उहाँले त नेवारी पटक्कै बुझ्दैन होला, कसैले त्यसो भन्नुहुन्छ। त्यसै कारण म नेवारीबाट नै भन्न चाहन्छु, सबैले बुझ्ने भाषा। म तपाईँहरू सबैले धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। सबभन्दा पहिला सरोज दिदी, नेपाल भाषा अध्यक्षज्यू। म त जानु लागेको 22 तारिकको मेरो फ्लाइट थियो। नेपाल भाषा परिवारहरूले मलाई रोकाउनु भयो, निमन्त्रणा गर्नुभयो। त्यसो भएर तपाईँहरू सबै भेट्नु पाएँ, धेरै खुसी लागे। म त आशीर्वाद दिन्छु। र यो नेपाल अमेरिकामा आउँदा यति नेपालीहरू छन् भनेर थाहा थिएन। म त धेरै जसो बर्मीहरूको बिहारमा बस्ने, किन भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो बर्मी बिहार भनेको पनि एउटा नेपाली बिहार भनेको थिएन। त्यसै कारण बर्मीहरूसँग यस्तो उता बस्ने गर्थे। तर आज तपाईँहरू देखेर धेरै धेरै खुसी लागे। अब मलाई यो धर्म सम्बन्धी अथवा चाहिँ हामी मानवता भएर जन्म हुँदा मानवता हुनु अत्यन्त आवश्यक छ। त्यसै कारण हाम्रो कल्चरको साथसाथै नेवारी कल्चर, हाम्रो नेपा अत्यन्त खुसी लाग्यो। नेपा भन्दाखेरि हामी नेपालको दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनी सबैजना नेवारी मात्रै भयो भने अलग साम्प्रदायिक जस्तो ठानिन्छु। किन भन्दाखेरि यो अमेरिकामा आउँदाखेरि नेपाल भन्दाखेरि सबै नेपालबाट आउनुभएको दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनी सबै हामीहरू सबै एक परिवार हुँ भनेर यो चाहिँ नेपाल भाषा कुच बनेर देखाउनु भयो। त्यसै कारण हामीहरू सबै मिल्नुको लागि धर्म अत्यन्त आवश्यक छ। जुन व्यक्तिसँग धर्म चित्त हुन्छ त्यो व्यक्ति जहाँ गए तापनि खुसी र शान्ति हुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई। म बिछिनी भएको नाताले धार्मिकमा बसेको हुनाले म धर्म सम्बन्धी नै तपाईहरुलाई केही सुनाउन चाहन्छु। धम्म हवे रखठी धम्मचारी। जुन व्यक्तिले धर्मलाई रक्षा गर्दछन् त्यसलाई धर्मले रक्षा गर्नुहुन्छ। धर्म सिक्नुको लागि कि हामी धार्मिक किताबहरू पढ्नु पर्यो कि गुरुजनहरू कहाँ गएर उहाँहरूको शिक्षा सुन्नु पर्यो। सुनेर मात्रै हुँदैन। भगवान बुद्धले भन्नुभएको थियो शुद्धमय प्रज्ञा पहिला सुन्नु पर्छ। त्यसपछि चिन्तनमय प्रज्ञा चिन्ता गर्नु अत्यन्त आवश्यक छ। कसैले भन्ने मात्र विश्वास नगर्नु, हो होइन, राम्रो छ नराम्रो छ, फाइदा बेफाइदा, राइट रङ, यो सबै हामीले चाहिँ अनुभव गर्नुपर्छ। सुनेर चिन्तन गरेर अनि व्यवहारमा उतार्नुपर्छ। सुन्ने मात्र काम नगर्यो भने त्यति भ्यालु हुँदैन मलाई लाग्छ। त्यसैकारण राम्रो कुरा सुनेर हाम्रो जीवनमा, हाम्रो जीवन कति दिनसम्म बस्न सकिन्छ कसैले भन्नु सक्दैन। जस्तै उपमा छ कर्कटको पातमा पानी रहेको जस्तो हामी एक दिन कहिले कुन चाहिँ समय कुन अवस्थामा जानुपर्छ भने हामीले थाहा थिएन। त्यसैकारण हामी मानवता भएको बेलामा यही मानवता जीवनमा नै राम्रो ठाउँमा जाने र नराम्रो ठाउँमा जाने, यही जीवनमा जीवन भएको बेलामा हामीले राम्रो गरेर जाँदाखेरि पहिला आफूलाई नै फाइदा हुन्छ अनि मात्र अरूलाई फाइदा हुन्छ। त्यसैकारण हामी मानवता मनुष्य भएर जन्म लिँदाखेरि मनुष्य बन्नु सकोस्। भगवान बुद्ध भन्नुहुन्छ पहिला मानवता नि बनौँ, मनुष्य नि बनौँ। हामी त मनुष्य अवश्य पनि हो, तर सबै मानिस होइन रे। किन भन्दाखेरि जुन व्यक्तिले राम्रो नराम्रो छुट्याउन सकिन्छ, राम्रोलाई राम्रो भनेर व्यवहारमा उतार्न सकिन्छ, त्यही व्यक्ति मात्र मानवता मनुष्य भनेर भन्नुभएको छ। त्यसैकारण हामी मानवता छान्दाखेरि अथवा हामी अमेरिकामा आए, यहाँ आएर कति दुःख गर्नु पर्ला तपाईहरुले, तर त्यो समयमा पनि अलिकति धर्मको नाता, धर्मलाई आफ्नो जीवन सफलमय गर्नुको लागि केही न केही हाम्रो चित्त सफा गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने सम्बन्धी र मनुष्य पट्टन हुने कारणको विषय एउटा म भन्न चाहन्छु। भगवान बुद्ध श्रावस्तीमा बस्दाखेरि देवताहरूले चिन्ता भयो। के चिन्ता भयो भन्दाखेरि यो मानव मनुष्यहरू रातभरि काम गर्छ अथवा कति मरी काम गर्नुहुन्छ। सबैजना धन्याढ्य हुनु मनपर्छ, सुन्दरी हुनु मनपर्छ, सबैले माया गर्ने त्यस्तो शक्ति हुनु मनपर्छ, तर सबैले त्यस्तो पाएन। किन त भनेर कल्पना भएर रात दिन त्यही कल्पना। हामी पनि हेरौँ अमेरिकामा, नेपालमा त्यति दुःख गरेको देखिएन, तर यहाँ कमसेकम 12 घण्टासम्म काम गरेको पनि देखे, सुने। मलाई दया लाग्छ, मलाई अत्यन्त दया लाग्छ। तर त्यो देवतालाई सबैजना धनी भएन किन भनेर भगवान कहाँ सोच्नु गयो। किन कोही चाहिँ पटन हुन्छ, कोही चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो हुन्छ, किन त सबैजना बराबर भएन भनेर सोच्नु गयो सोच्दाखेरि भगवान बुद्धले जवाब दिनुभयो के भन्दाखेरि कसरी भन्दाखेरि भगवान बुद्धले सबभन्दा पहिला धर्मलाई धर्म भनेको खाली पूजा मात्र होइन तारे यति धर्म जुन व्यक्तिले गर्नुपर्ने कर्तव्यलाई पालन गर्छ त्यही धर्म आगोको धर्म पोल्ने धर्म मानवताको धर्म मनुष्यको धर्म कर्तव्य पालन गर्नु नै धर्म हो
Guests, ladies and gentlemen, Nhudaya Bhintuna and welcome to NPPA Pasapucha America's 23rd annual Bhintuna celebration. First of all, I would like to welcome and thank each of you for your support and for coming today and making this event more special. So many things have happened this year and many more to come rest of the year. The executive committee team, advisory team, and formal executive committee team members, life members, patrons, and all community members have done a tremendous job to make the NPPA as recognizable as this is today. That is the special thing about the NPPA, the cooperation, inclusiveness, and support of its members, life members, and patrons for a lifetime. We just finished the inauguration ceremony by Mr. Gimere. Thank you so much for continued support by the Embassy of Nepal. I would also like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Anoja Guruma, for sharing your in-depth knowledge and exploration of Nyowa culture and sharing the knowledge of religion and spiritual guidance. I would also like to thank Honorable Consul General Mr. Premraja Mahat for his well wishes towards NPPA Pasapucha America as always. Thanks to all head of organization, NECC, ANS, NOA, ANA, BANA, Sagarmatha TV, ANTV, BC Nepal, Vishwaparikrama, eNepalis.com, and many organizations who have supported and spent their valuable time with us throughout the year. We just are about to wrap up the inauguration ceremony. However, I would like to thank Manjima Maharjan and Karisa Singh for moderating the program beautifully. Thanks to Sahara Joshi for singing American National Anthem, and Kriti Shrestha and Sahara Shrestha for singing Nepali National Anthem so beautifully. We are also thankful to our community leaders, Mr. Ram Alakar, Mr. Bhagatlal Shrestha, Mr. Tulsi Maharjan, Mr. Divya Hara, Mr. Lakshman Pradhan, Mrs. Meera Shrestha, and Mr. Madan Tamakar for their guidance to NPPA and their support every year. VOA and the cultural programs are the main focus of annual NPPA programs. For VOA, I would like to thank Buddha Maharjan, Kailash Singh, Ganga Maharjan, Anjali Shrestha, Rita Singh, and all the volunteers for their hard work. Thanks goes to Gare Kebab for preparing delicious samay bhaji and bhoe for tonight. I want to thank Mrs. Vishnu Malakar and Sakula Shrestha for preparing Om or Bara. For cultural program, I would like to thank Sunita Amatya for coordinating, Sharana Shrestha for hosting, senior pop singer Mr. Om Bikram Bista for accepting to be the chief artist, and all the participants of tonight's cultural program. At the registration desk outside, we have Ms. Sarita Dangal, along with Magan Shrestha and Shiru Joshi, and so many other volunteers working hard to keep the registration desk going smoothly. Thanks to our welcome team, Mrs. Vishnu Malakar and Muna Tamarkar. Thank you, Dinesh Gurung, our DJ, for providing sound system for program as always every year. Thank you all. Dabu magazine is also the main focus of our annual collaboration. Many people wait for Dabu to see what really happened within the last year in the NPPA, and also the addresses and phone numbers of their loved ones. However, it takes months of hard work by the Dabu publication team, and for that, thanks goes to Shanti Shrestha, Pravin Tamrakar, Saurabha Pradhan for their major role creating Dabu, and Chief Editor Mr. Sankaram Shrestha. Also the writers, the business owners, and all members of NPPA for sending us the articles and also the monetary support. For donation and sponsorship, we would like to thank Mr. Samir and Mrs. Surya Marzan for Classic Jewelry for generous donation to sponsor the venue. Mr. Ganesh Kasta and Lasman Pradhan of Himalayan Elderly Care. Mr. Manoj Shrestha of Travel House Nepal. Mr. Rajesh Shrestha of Air Zone Travel. Mr. Lok Tiwari and Chet Vandari of Gare Kebab Restaurant and Sangrila Restaurant. Mr. Suman and Mrs. Kathy Shrestha of Fenwick Liquor. Mr. Suman and Mrs. Diya Pradhan of Delhi 6. Mr. Nani and Mrs. Magan Shrestha of Fenton Sidgaon. Mr. Dipesh Raj Bhandari of Curry Place. Mr. Bhagat Lal and Mrs. Mira Shrestha for this beautiful flowers decoration here. Mr. Rajesh and Mrs. Niva Pradhan, Niva Shrestha. Mrs. Vijaya Shrestha, Dr. Mahesh and Dr. Nancy Shrestha. Mr. Ramji and Mrs. Durga Prajapati. Mr. Dipya Hara. Mr. Visamalal and Manjima Shrestha, Mandira Shrestha. We also would like to thank Montgomery County, Maryland Public School for providing us this wonderful venue for the last 23 years. The MCPS has been part of our life. Once again, the NPPA Executive Committee expresses its deep appreciations to all individuals who directly or indirectly helped in making this convention a great success. Without the help of each and every one of you, NPPA would not be as successful as it is today. I would not be at this level as it is today. A big thank you for your continued support and contribution.
The panelists, and I would like to request Mrs. Ridniva Pradhan.
Namaskar and Jojalappa. I'd like to request everyone in the audience, please, if you could be seated. Everyone in the audience, if you could be seated before we start the presentation by Sahara Shrestha. Thank you. Thank you for your different nature. It is about youth empowerment program that we have started in Nepal. And so in the past 3 years, we've invited youth growing up in America, not necessarily just Nepalese youth, Nepalese Newari youth, but youth from different cultural backgrounds who come to Nepal and who like to serve as summer interns in projects in Nepal. So this past summer we had Sahara Shrestha who came and interned for a whole month, and she stayed at an orphanage in Banepa. And she did an excellent job integrating with the orphans, the girls in this orphanage. It was started by Buddhist monks. How many of the youth population here would be interested, or the parents interested in programs like that in Nepal? To experience. Okay, I see hands up there. Okay. So a little bit about the Daya Foundation. Daya Foundation is started like about 5 years ago. It is a family trust fund of late Mr. Dayaram Bhaktamathima, also my father. And we focus in the area of education, health and culture in Nepal to the underprivileged sector of society. You can find us on our Facebook, which was created by Sahara Shrestha, where we show all the projects of the foundation. So most of the focus is on youth empowerment and of women and children. So we focus on helping with education in schools like hygiene education and education with nutrition and healthy food habits, and also educating the students on different cultural setups and what they need to learn for their better development in the area. And this year we have also partnered with different organizations like the World Word Warriors. It's a youth team that are poets. So what they do is they go out into the community and they read out poetry both in English and Nepali. And this youth group is anywhere from age group 16 through 35. So that's one. And the next program we have, besides the Word Warriors, is also, what is that, Sarah? Okay. Yeah, the Meta Center. No, there's another one. The ERC program is the visually challenged children.
I had the wonderful opportunity to volunteer at an orphanage in Nepal called the Metta Center. So here's a picture of myself with all 9 of the girls. They range from ages 11 all the way to 22. And the Metta Center is basically a girls' home. And these girls have come through such tremendous hardships, like Nivanti was saying. Some of them have families, but their parents are unable to properly support them. Some of them don't even have parents at all, and others have fallen victim to abuse. But in spite of this, however, living at the Metta Center has given them the opportunity to change their life completely around. So the Metta Center is located in Banapa, which is a town about 1 hour outside of Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. And their home is really beautiful. As you can see in this picture, they're completely surrounded by nature and the hills around them. Okay, go back on. Okay. So while living at the, because I was at the Metta Center, I was actually living with the girls, but not only that, I was living like the girls. So as you can see in this picture, the girls every single day would wake up at 5 o'clock early in the morning to meditate. And this is because they were living on a Buddhist monastery, which was run, and the whole hostel was run by a Buddhist monk. And so while being there, I was actually able to learn more about meditation and about Buddhism, so I thought that was really interesting for me. Again, while living with the girls, I got to see Nepal through their aspect, through their eyes. And so this is a picture of Rashmita, and this is a typical grocery store in Nepal, and she's buying greens. And I was very shocked by the fact that they still use a scale and weights rather than a cash register, which we use here in America. Something that we take for granted because you can imagine how long it takes just to do that and how simple it is just to use a cash register for us. Not only this though, but while living with the girls, since there's 9 of them, it was almost as if they were doing individual cooperation and teamwork, living together. So one girl, as you can see, would buy the groceries. The next girl would prepare the food for the rest of them. Some of them would set the table, and then everything was done individually, but at the same time they were helping each other.